Hey guys, Derek Blue Collar Chess, and in today's video, I'm going to discuss whether or not you should buy opening courses and opening books. So I think bang for your buck, you're not going to get much out of them, to be honest. I don't think they're terrible. I think a lot of times if you find a good course, it's going to go into middle game plans. So not only are you learning an opening, you're also learning the ideas, and they'll have hopefully a good section for model games, and that way you kind of see the actual plans in action. But at the end of the day, I actually don't think you need to buy those things. Now, I'm guilty of buying those things. I have bought quite a few of them. I will probably still buy them from time to time. I bought one recently. It was Nate Solon's Knight F3 course. I think it's a great course. It helped me do very well at the last tournament I played. I won one game with it. No, I'm lying to you. I won two games with it. And yeah, so it's not, I beat an expert, and I played a kid who was 1600 at the time. Now he's like 1700, I think. So yeah, it's a pretty good opening. The course did me pretty good. However, I am at this point, I kind of believe that we have all these resources out here, like Lichess. So I'm going to show you really quick what I mean by that. So say you want to learn something like the English. So you put it in C4. Okay. So right here on Lichess, it gives you a little unfortunately I have my beautiful face in front of it, but it has this little wiki book, and it gives you a basic rundown. Then at that point, you'd have to start working on your repertoire. What do you do against Knight F6? What do you do against E5? Honestly, I think a lot of these are going to be roughly the same. Like E6 and Knight F6 will probably be close to E5. You might have to have something kind of unique. There are systems like the Botvinnik system. There's also just kind of like playing a G3 type thing and trying to make that work against everything. But you can get all that right here. So let's say we'll use Knight F6 as the first move. Okay. So Knight F6 is the first move now, and it will give you these options. So this is what other people play. You can look at all of them. It only takes you a second to kind of click through like the majority of moves. So Knight C3 is the most popular. So in here, you can look at E5. So if they play E5 here, I'm sure you've transposed into the previous E5. So let's look at G6. Then they're recommending E4, which is like the Botvinnik variation. Here they call it the Anglo-Indian defense. So, that might be what it's called. But anyways, you don't need a book to show you this position. You've got this database here. You've got a computer hooked to the database, so you can see whether you're playing good or bad moves, right? And it's okay to take an inferior move. Like if you find something that's interesting that you think's easier to play for you, do it. Even if it's not the objectively best move, if it's easier to play, more human, just take that move. So anyways, get back to this. So now it's showing you different moves: D6, E5, C5, and the other cool thing about this is that then you go to Lichess, right? So you go to the Lichess database, and now they're saying D6 is the most played move, Bishop G7 after that, E5, and C5, and C6. So you can see what people at your level are going to be playing. And I think that is just absolutely invaluable. And again, I don't think a book's going to show you that. I mean, they might have some sort of data in there, but they're going to be gearing it more for the professional player. I am not gearing my videos for a professional player, so it probably doesn't pertain to you guys if somehow you've stumbled upon this. This is for the people like me who are a club player, or people below that who are really interested in chess and do want to get better and want to utilize the tools that are free and that are out there. I'm not... Magnus Carlsen does not need to apply for this course. So, is what I'm saying. So, anyways... So then you just start looking. You start looking at, okay, D6, and then you've got D4. Now, once you play D4, though, you're probably now into King's Indian defense. So I would personally look for something different than that. if I'm trying to stay in like the English kind of variation. So you should know that. You know, as a player, at this point where you're actually looking at openings and thinking about buying books and that type of stuff. So I would stay away from D4. I would look at G3 and I would look at D3. F4 seems like something, but yeah, I think I would try G3 here. And then you have these moves to look at, right? And then you got Bishop G2. Yeah, like Bishop G2 there. Say they play C5, which makes a lot of sense. And Knight G2. But again, you have all these moves that you can look at, and you have this evaluation right here. These are all things that the book's not going to give you. What a book or a course is going to give you is what the author thinks would be a good move. Again, imagine being an author of one of these courses, right? So you have to make it for the masses, maybe? But let's face it, it's not usable for anybody in the 600s. Like, it's just not a usable thing for them. They won't see the lines. I bought a course one time because I like the King's Gambit. And it was a Jan Nepomuceni course. It really was just kind of a data dump of moves. I didn't buy the video. I read something that seemed kind of robotic when he was doing the video. I have no idea. I can tell you that the moves are very engine generated. If you have a good memory and your opponent plays into that stuff, it'd probably be a good course. I'm sure he didn't lead you too astray. But the couple things that I looked at, I decided it was so hard to play those moves that it was useless for me. And I went back to a book called Play Winning Chess? Or Winning with the King's Gambit by Joe Gallagher. I believe that's who wrote that book. I have it down. I have to go grab it downstairs. But anyways, that's actually a really good book. You know, I mean, if I'm getting the name right. But anyways, in that book, though, he goes through just game collections. So I guess I'm going to amend what I was saying. I think if you buy a book with game collections and you're a beginner / intermediate player in that range, whatever that range is, those type of books are probably pretty valuable if you look at them a couple times, go over the games, look at the annotations, really work through them. But these data dumps of like engine lines, like what most of these courses are, it's not useful for us. So I actually think it's better to use Lichess, create a study, and look at openings on your own. Like, so if you know, like, say you're looking through a game, you see a game somebody played, you're like, oh, what's that opening? Well, learn that opening. Just take a look at it. You know, just go here, mimic the moves, and then you can look at the opening. And the other thing with this, what this is going to do is going to give you like a database of a bunch of games. So you're going to be able to look at losses. You're going to be able to look at wins and draws, as opposed usually they're pretty cherry picked if you look at a book, which is good because they're going to show you like the main ideas. So if you buy a book that's been written well, it's not just a data dump. They're going to give you games that have the ideas that you're going to want to follow if you can. Okay. But again, you can get all that stuff here. If you have a database like ChessBase, what you can do is you can get the position that you want. You can look for your reference, which in my case is the big database. And in that, I can find, they'll give me a bunch of games to look at. I can highlight all those games, and I can replay them pretty quickly. There's no reason you don't always have to really comb through the games. You can just look at games and you'll start to recognize themes and ideas, like reoccurring themes and ideas, I should say. So just to cap the video off, what I'm saying is if you want to learn an opening, you don't need to buy a book, and it's not useless, but it's not. I don't think it's the best use of your money, especially with a free resource like Lichess out there. Like you've got, like for example, say you want to learn a line against the Sicilian, right? Say you want to learn Knight C3. Well, you got all the responses here. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of responses here, But you're going to have your 4 or 5 key ones, and you're going to look at those. And then what I do is when I'm looking at an opening like this, where there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7-ish, 6 to 7-ish decent responses, I'll make a whole study. I'll devote each chapter to one of those responses, because you know you're going to get this position. As soon as you see C5, you know this position you're getting. You don't know what you're going to get. You know, at this point, you can get D6, you get E6, A6, G6, Knight C6, B6 is the thing. So you get all those positions. But if you look at all of them, you might see kind of like a setup. Whereas a book might show you that, but a book may also try to optimize the opening. Now, I know that sounds kind of anti-intuitive to be like, well, you shouldn't optimize the opening. Well, you should if you're a pro player and you have time to do that type of stuff where you can memorize a completely different idea for 5 different positions from this position. If you can do that, by all means do it. I can't. I've got to look for recurring themes and ideas and plans, and that's how I do it. So, again, to recap, you don't need an opening book. If you do want an opening book, I would recommend the FCO. I believe I have if you go to my page, I've got a playlist with somebody reviewing the FCO. It was a good review. I didn't feel the need to review something that's already been reviewed. So yeah, if you go to that playlist, find that review, check out the FCO. It's kind of your basic overview of the opening, of many openings. Basically, you pick an opening, and they'll give you some lines, the basic overview, basic plans, and it's a great opening book for that. It's not like the MCO or the NCO, where it's like, again, like a data dump. And again, if you are a really strong player, and that's what you want, is just like this like data dump, and you can understand the data dump, then by all means, do one of those books, like the MCO. For me, I've kind of hit that point now where I'm getting to the point now where I'm finding the computer very useful. I didn't find the computer useful for a long time. Now, I can understand what they're trying to put forth, and I can also tell a position when the computer's recommending a position that I think is going to be hard to play. So when I get into those type of positions, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to steer away from this. What else do I have? And that's been working good for me. So again, my opinion is you don't necessarily need to buy an opening book unless you want to buy an opening book. Check out the authors. I do believe they are misleading at times. I think they try to say a book's for everyone when it's really not for everyone. Sometimes, I can't remember what book it was, but it was one of the courses. The guy was like, well, it's really kind of geared for this audience, but the starter, they have like an introduction, quick starter chapter, and the guy was like, but you can just do the quick starter chapter. So the quick starter chapter is basically this. It's him choosing lines for you based around what happens if knight c6 is played, d6 is played, e6 is played, and usually or some complete transposition, like say, not transposition, but like say you're playing d4, or they're playing against d4. So it's like, oh, so you play this move against everything except for the London system. Okay, so it really is just, you got to do your own work. You got to do your own, you got to engage your brain in it. You've got the computer to guide you. So if you see a movie like, oh, why isn't this move played? Put it in the computer. See why it's not played. It doesn't take as long as you think it does. And you're going to get so much more out of it using your own brain, and you're choosing your own lines. It's just going to be so much. You're just going to like it a lot more once you actually get into a habit of doing that. But if you're the type of person that just wants to be spoon-fed stuff, then by all means, that's a good way to do it too. Anyways, this is Derek with Blue Collar Chess. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed my rant. Talk to you guys later.